Welcome to the second interview for the Behind the Scenes series on Wonder Woman Spirit of Truth, presented by Don't Sue Us Please. My name is Josh, and I'm the composer and sound designer for all of the content that you hear on Don't Sue Us Please. This interview features our lovely voice actors from Wonder Woman Spirit of Truth. Today we have Heidi Armbruster, Sarah Bonner, and Christopher McFarlane. You'll also get interjections from me, our creative producer Nora Barpal, and our director Kelly Johnston. We just couldn't resist chiming in every now and then. I would also like to say that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this interview is recorded remotely, meaning that our audio quality may not be perfect all of the time. I'd also like to add that we just love to tangent. We really get off into the woods in this interview, so I'll be your disembodied tour guide through this. We'll be cutting and weaving around to get to the best parts of this interview and hear about all sorts of things, like learning Greek and the joys of parenthood. Finally, this series wouldn't be possible without listeners like you supporting us on Patreon. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/The Superhero Podcast. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the chaos.
Now. So when you're ready, Nora, you just tee us off.
All right. So this is our second interview for Don't Sue Us Please, also known as DSUP, the Superhero Podcast. I'm Nora. I'm your creative producer and host today. And this interview will be with Kelly, our director and showrunner, and three of our wonderful voice actors who we love dearly. So if you guys can each just go around and introduce yourselves briefly so that we know who you are, that would be great. Kelly, you want to kick it off?
Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to start? I beg your pardon. I was having a senior moment. I am Kelly Johnston, and I am the showrunner for Don't Sue Us Please, and the director of these episodes that we're discussing, which today are Wonder Woman, Spirit of Truth. And then I will kick it back to you, Miss Nora.
Great. Christopher, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. I am Christopher McFarlane. I play Ares, among other roles, in the podcast.
Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah Bonner, and I played Artemis, Lieutenant Candy, and one of the Harpies.
And Heidi Armbruster is getting back in with us.
Briefly, she was here twice. Heidi?
Hey, there she is!
Woo!
Just in time.
If you could just introduce yourself real quick.
Oh
no!
She's in Wisconsin right now on like her family farm, and so
apparently Wisconsin does not have the internet yet.
Or like where she is, and so like I know she's really frustrated because like we get her and then we lose. Hey, wait! There she is. I see her.
Hey guys. Fuck.
Hi. Woo!
Hey. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, hi. I'm Heidi Armbruster. I was in the Wonder Woman podcast, and it was fun.
Yep. Tangent 1. Right out of the gate. We got sidetracked talking about Kelly's surprise appearance as General Kohler in the series. But instead of hearing about that for 3 minutes, I think you would rather hear from our voice actors. So we're going to jump right to them.
Right, enough about me. Let's talk about y'all.
Yeah. So my first question for you guys is, how did you even get involved in this little project that we have going here?
All right, I'll go first. I got involved because I worked with Kelly maybe 11 years ago.
Sometime ago.
That was when it started. And since then we've done a number of shows together. And we had not yet done any audio plays, but when they brought this to me, I really love getting to make a bunch of different characters. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like a ton of fun. count me in.
I came by way of Wonder Woman herself, Elizabeth M. Kelly.
That is right.
So we were hanging out. She was like, "Do you want to do this thing?" And I was like, yeah.
Had you guys worked together before, Heidi?
We're in a writers group. Like, I think we were taking a...
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're, like,
Okay.
playwrights together. And she had, like, written a play for you guys, I think. And
Yes.
had worked with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was going to play Wonder Woman. And then I think you guys needed a utility female.
Yes, we desperately did. That is the absolute truth. And you fucking nailed that. So
Utility.
thank you.
Yes, was my supreme pleasure, and what a delight to go back and listen to it too. It's really fun.
Yeah, that all credit to Josh on that. What about you, Chris?
Well, similar to Sarah, I've known you for some time, except even longer. 18 years ago, you directed me in The Tempest in Prescott, Arizona. And since then, we have remained reluctant friends and artistic partners. And you just came along, and I guess you thought I was right for it. So
Reluctant Friendship is the actual title of our podcast.
Reluctant Friendship. I would say it's startling, but that's the way it's usually described with me. It's a reluctant friendship.
Hey, listeners, I'm back. We went on another tangent. This one about The Tempest by Shakespeare, a play that Kelly has directed about 1 billion times. Instead of hearing about that play, we thought you'd want to hear about our own work. So let's jump to that.
So, next question. Did you guys read Wonder Woman or know a lot about it before you recorded? Were you guys Wonder Woman fans? Did you guys binge all the movies? Did you watch it growing up? Any of those kinds of things? Did you just end up in this project not knowing Wonder Woman?
Yeah, I was pretty unfamiliar, I would say. I mean, I knew, like most sort of Americans, that was like a archetypal. She was an archetypal superhero in the same way that I knew as much about her as I knew about Superman or Batman or any of those people. It wasn't necessarily my nerdiness of choice when I was wee, but most of my friends were into comics, and so it was sort of around and. So I was loosely familiar. I wouldn't say that I've read I had read a graphic novel or whatever, comic or anything.
I was pretty unfamiliar. Well, I enjoy superhero movies. Don't read any of the comics. Don't really know that much, but I decided it was a good thing. Took it for giving a fresh perspective and just getting to do what I heard and not being, have anything else coming into my head from other things. But I can justify most things, so.
Well, I love that. I love the justification and the fact that you can justify anything. I'm deeply fond of both of those qualities.
Listeners, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Heidi's call quality was suboptimal during this whole thing. Her connection just wasn't great, so we lost her from time to time, meaning that the audio that she also sent us was also out of sync. There are some portions of this interview where Heidi delivers amazing answers that we just don't have, unfortunately. At this moment in the interview, there was a beautiful tangent about underoos and cows delivering internet. It makes as much sense now as it did then. Our next dropping point is talking about how Greek myth was involved in the Wonder Woman canon and how that surprised some of our actors.
I will say that though I was super unfamiliar with the Wonder Woman myth, I was pleasantly excited to see that so much Greek and Roman myths had found their way or were always there as part of this comic franchise. As a boy, I was talking about nerddoms. I was super into mythology, as a little kid. So that aspect of it was really fun for me.
I like that too, actually, not knowing a lot before I started. Is I was super into the Greek and Roman mythology as well, and that's such a cool element that's brought in.
Yeah.
I'm back. Sooner than normal, I know. Heidi delivered a great answer about Greek myth and then asked about the origins of hero archetypes within Wonder Woman. We're going to jump in on Kelly's answer right now.
Well, the resident experts to answer that would be Matthew and John, to be brutally honest. But it's not unheard of. Like Hawkman, they tie back to the Egyptian pantheon.
Isn't like Thor and Loki, they're tied to Norse?
Well, Thor is that's the Aesir, the gods of the Norse. So like, it's not a new idea to time in. And even Shazam or Captain Marvel, who is actually a personal favorite of mine, like his name is this anagram of, Solomon and Hercules and Zeus and Apollo and Mercury that combine to give him all of these powers. And so, yeah, superheroes tend to have there's basically, I think this is right, 4 archetype myths that start. They're an alien, they're supernaturally bound in some way, they come from, they're a mutant of some kind, or they're a simple regular human who has trained themselves up to be the peak of perfection. That's generally superheroes break into one of those 4 archetypes. And I'm certain I'm saying this, and Matthew and John are going to be like, no, he's wrong, and here's why. But that's my understanding. So it's a little atypical, but not unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how in our version, actual Greek made it in.
Yes. Yeah, you had to speak it.
Yeah.
You're the only one that had to speak it, too.
Yeah.
We didn't even stick that on Heidi.
Nope. I know, right? You had a utility woman.
And but you did a great job. It's not and I mean this because one of the things that we debated really hard was because in the movie you put subtitles. It's straightforward. But with an audio, there is no subtitling. So then it really boils down to, okay, can we convey the meaning of what is happening between the intention that you're playing and whatever response?
And the response.
Yeah. And you did it. It was always very clear. Early on, once we listened to it, it was never a case of oh, well, what the hell does that mean? So good job. Well done. You handled ancient Greek very aptly, I thought.
Well, thanks to it was wasn't it Stavros? We had him record it.
That's right.
Yeah, so I listened to him do it on repeat in my ear.
Sorry, Stavros was the composer that we worked with on the Tempest because the Ariels actually sang a couple of the songs, and we got this guy in who did music for the whole play, but he composed, and he was a lovely guy, just the sweetest guy. And he was Greek. In fact, he moved back to Crete, I think, a while ago. But that's right. We got him to do actually the recordings so that you could copy that. I'd forgotten that. That's very cool. Yeah,
and way back in college, I did take an accents class and knew IPA, but as that's long gone from my head, I was looking back over this script to be like, what did I write? And I mean, my notes on how to pronounce this shit was just, I mean, they were really interesting. But yeah, of course, me listening to the recording of it, the final recording of it, it's obvious to me which words I hated having to say. But,
oh, wow. Sure.
But that's because it was that was the part that I had to work on the most. Everything else, it's worst case scenario. It's an audio recording. We're just sitting there looking at our script. It's not like you're going to go up on a line. But if I went up on how to pronounce that, it was oh man, no way around it. So yeah, it was interesting listening now. 2 years after recording it and going,
3 years.
Oh yeah.
Howdy, listeners. We went on a long tangent about the passing of time and how long it was that we've known each other and how long it's been since we've recorded this series. We were supposed to say what our favorite character to play was. Instead, we went on a 15-minute tangent about time. I'm sure you can hear the irony. I'm going to skip us forward to the actual answers for that question.
I think now repeat the question. I promise not to cackle.
I'm crying now. Okay. Who is your favorite character that you played? Why? And what was your favorite scene?
Well, that's good. Well, I will just say for me it was Kohler. What about you, Josh? Soldier B? That Soldier B scene?
So I spent a lot of time with these characters, and it's weird for me to put faces to the voices that I've heard a lot, but I will just say the dynamic performance of Soldier B at the beginning. inspiring.
We're nothing if we're not shameless pluggers and self promoters. All right, I'll call him
Soldier
out.
B was definitely. It was just he was a wonder.
Sarah, how about you? What was it for you?
So I feel like on stage, I often play really strong characters. So I really enjoyed since I had to make them so different, getting to play Etta. I think she was my favorite character to play because I just got to play her she sounded like a complete ditz, but then when you actually listen to the substance of what she was saying, she was pretty darn with it. So I really like her intro scene where she's just like, telling her superior officer off and then being like, I'm gonna stay, you can't make me leave. I think that was my favorite scene with her.
Tangent time, listeners. Sarah Bonner is a total badass, and we went on a long tangent talking about her previous works with Kelly. We didn't think it was pertinent for this interview, so we're going to leave it out and go straight to Chris's answer.
Well, I mean, Ari's, I had so much to do, and it was so, like I said, I'm into mythology. Getting a sort of big scene chewy role like that was awesome. But in terms of the scene that I actually liked, I'm sorry I don't remember the name of the soldier that you killed, Kelly, but that sort of that lead up to the scene where Kohler kills.
The soldier.
Yeah.
Kohler murders his guard.
Yeah, what's his? I don't remember if he has a name.
He's corporal something.
Corporal, yeah. Something about leading into that was his sort of vulnerability and his faith in his commander, and that turn was. I guess because most of the recording I was playing someone who was sort of non-human and was sort of like doing all this big stuff. It was nice to kind of zero in on like just a real human, just sort of not understanding what's going on around him, and
the setup in that is so nice because like, do you have a wife? Do you have kids? Yeah. Like Kohler is prepping him up, so that it's even more tragic when he gets turned on.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it was nice. It was a nice moment.
You see, I thought Kohler was just doing him a favor because he then says, "I'll make sure I tell your wife that you were the last thing you were." She was the last thing you were thinking about.
It's also, I mean, like it's a very, very small, like sort of kind of nice thing that Kohler does. Like I'm gonna kill you, but I'm gonna make it as pleasant for you as I can.
Right? He's like, I know I have to kill you, so at least I'll make your last thoughts pleasant.
About your wife while you're choking on your own blood.
Sort of a tell me about the rabbits, Lenny. Tell me about the rabbits.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Well, you would know. That was you played him.
I did play Lenny. Yeah,
you played Lenny. I remember that. Yeah, he was so good. Oh my god, that was good. Heidi, do we have you back? How about you?
What's the question?
Oh, Nora?
Who is your favorite character that you played and why? And also, what was your favorite scene?
Oh, Harpies, hands down. Harpies, all of the above. I don't know where that voice came from. Someplace deep inside my vagina, I think. And it was totally intense. I had a great time being a harpy.
The harpies are hysterical to me. As just like a person who like, I spent so much time at the beginning with just like, there's no like sound design or room tones or music going on. So like, and this is pretty much the first thing that happens in that episode. So when I clicked open like the raw like stems of all of this, and I am like, I'll go through to like check everybody's voices. So I'll go through each stem. So when I go through all three of the harpies, and what I heard is what I heard, I just kind of sat there, quietly in my apartment by myself with my headphones on, just like, okay, this is good.
Another tangent. This time it's my fault. I accidentally told a story that is in another interview that will be appearing soon. We'll save that story for the next interview. The following answers are for the final question of our interview. The question is, who is your Wonder Woman?
Let's go with Heidi. Heidi seemed excited about the question. Let's go with Heidi.
The question is intense. I was like, what kind of answer do I give? Do I say something like something obscure and sort of intelligentsia, like Martha Gellhorn? Or do I say something like, like Robin Wright Penn, just circle back around to how awesome that made me feel? But I think like immediately you said the question and then my mother came into my mind. But my mom passed away 13 years ago, but she was like single mom, 3 teenagers, cancer diagnosis, and her mother had Alzheimer's. And she ended up starting her own business, which ended up being a 16-bed memory care facility. Like, she took so many lemons and made such a fucking amazing lemonade cocktail. Like, she just really was a survivor. And I think, like, superhero against all odds. I don't talk about her that much anymore. But yeah, she was really fucking Wonder Woman. Top that!
Love that.
I mean,
Yeah, we should have had you go last.
and just drop that mic. All right, so good night, everybody.
Josh,
All right,
you're
Nora.
gonna flip flop these, right? When
So
You guys, it's just because she's dead. Come on. If she were alive,
I already
thank
have
you.
been very-
Like, that's not fair.
True
I get
this.
extra credit points because she's dead. Just pretend she's alive and
That's the cold open.
Nora, who's next?
Let's go with Sarah.
So the first person that popped into my head was my sister. For whatever reason, the people I know are going to usually come to mind first for things. She's 2 kids. She's an aeronautical engineer. She's super freaking smart, and she also runs their house, like, which I find really amazing. Basically, when she had my first niece, my brother-in-law was traveling a lot for work, and so, for most of, at least half of every month, she was a single mom, and I'd come and help her sometimes, and she was just like a force of nature. She'd work full time and somehow get everything done. And I feel like something must happen when you become a mother and, like, somehow you make the impossible possible. Because, they get the amount of stuff done that I think I'm a pretty darn productive person. But it's just next level, I think, when you become a mom. And it's been really cool. She's my big sister, but, like, it's been really neat watching her grow as a mom and keep her career going, which is just something she always wanted, and do both. So yeah.
What's her name?
Her name's Amy. AMIE. The unusual way to spell it.
That's right. That's right. It is.
I love it. Yeah. I miss her dearly. I know everyone misses their family during all of this. This is the part you can be like, no, Sarah went off on a tangent.
Like a true fortune teller, Sarah predicted the tangent ahead. What she could not have predicted was that her tangent lasted for only 2 minutes, while Nora, Kelly, and myself riffed on that for another 20 minutes. I can assure you that almost none of it was important information. Let's get to the final answer of this interview.
Christopher?
Gosh, I mean, I tend to think most women I know are Wonder Women. I think women are just fucking extraordinary. I think at least in my life, the amount of strength and resiliency that the women have shown. I mean, my great grandmother was the matriarch of the family, and she was just an extraordinary woman, as was my grandmother, as is my mother, as is my wife. There are ways in which I think, well, the individual strengths of my mom don't exactly match up to Wonder Woman per se, although she is a wondrous woman. Honestly, the very first thought I had was Liz Warren is my Wonder Woman. But,
Sure.
There are so many examples, and I think probably 3 of them are on this conversation right now of strong, extraordinary women in the world and in my life. And you're all great.
That's lovely.
Yeah. I was like, I know Josh and I are on the list. I don't know who the third one is.
No, I was including myself. I'm sorry. Did I not make that
And once again, the patriarchy upstage is what was happening.
It was really, the Wonder Women on this call are really Kelly, Christopher, and Josh. Let's be honest.
The 4th t-shirt.
That's awful.
I really want that to now be like can you guys like take a picture in Wonder Woman costumes for me to use as like marketing material? The 3 of you in Wonder Woman
I would
costumes.
totally put on.
I've got a golden lariat back here, so we should be.
There you go.
Yeah.
We got a tiara right here.
I know. I feel it shouldn't be that hard, right?
If you can do wing noises, Josh, you can.
You can do anything. That's true.
You can wear those boots and that mini skirt.
Oh man, this derailed so quickly. I love it. It was such a touching moment for a minute. Way to go, Josh.
For a minute.
Thanks, Josh. Great. I mean, do Kelly and Josh wanna throw out theirs?
Josh?
Say Tina. You have to say Tina.
I could contractually I do have to say Tina, my mom, who I love dearly. We love Tina. I am currently I'm at my dad's house, but I'm currently living with Tina as gestures at everything. So I'm currently in Colorado, living with my parents. The same thing Nora had talked about, and my mom is just incredible. She started her own business multiple times, is trying to figure out how to run a business in this whole crazy thing. She sponsored one of our episodes.
We love Tina. She's become a very big part of this podcast.
Tina's
accidentally
great.
on her part.
Tina's a gem.
Tina's great.
And yeah, she's 100% my Wonder Woman.
All right, Kelly, you've had time to decide now.
Yeah, I actually, as embarrassed as I am to admit it, I actually have to echo what Chris said. My life has been extraordinary, full of extraordinary women. And I mean, my grandmother, who was the matriarch of my father's family, she had 16 children. And my grandfather, I never knew my grandfather on that side. It was always my grandmother. And she, she was the matriarch of the family. And then my father passed away when I was 13. So my mother was the matriarch of my immediate family. And my wife, Miss Kent, is extraordinary, and wonderful and terrifying. But if I actually had to choose, I would have to split it between my two daughters. My oldest, Christy, just switched jobs in the middle of the pandemic, and she works in hospitality, which is a field right now where no one's hiring, and yet she got a damn job, which blows me away. She walked over to a better situation. She's about to get married, and she's starting out, and I'm terribly proud of her. And then my youngest, Laurel, is finishing up school in Arizona, and they both. She was on the dean's. She made the dean's list this semester. She got straight A's, and in fact, she's the one that decided to go take a year off between high school and college and do AmeriCorps and do service because she didn't know what she wanted to do. And I want to be 100% clear: this was her idea. It would never even occur to me to suggest it. And my daughter was like, "No, I think, I want to see what's up," and it blows me away. It blows me away how smart they are. It blows me away how much they have together, and how ironically hopeful. And I say ironic because I feel like I should be the one trying to inspire them, but instead they are hopeful for what the future brings and what they can get done. And it knocks me out. It blows me away. So, those would be mine.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
Nora.
Yeah, just echoing everyone else, I'm very lucky to have so many strong women in my life. Right now, like I said, I'm taking care of my grandma. She was diagnosed during all of this with stage 4 cancer. So we've been living with her and taking care of her, and against all odds, she's, my grandma and 70-ish in there. I don't know her real age. She never tells me. But in her 70s, and she is recovering at like alarmingly fast rates where they're like, oh my God, how are you okay? And just like has been so positive through all of it and making sure all of her grandkids are okay with everything, and has been worried about everyone else and how they're coping with it, rather than herself. So that's been just so incredible and so fortunate to have her positivity during everything, and to see her getting better has been so lovely. And my mom's great and has her PhD. She got it about 10 years ago. She was a single mom during it and was raising my sister and me and working full time and doing school, and finished her PhD in second language acquisition to help other Latino children, because we're Latino, and help them once they, are here and learning multiple languages and being able to keep their culture while also assimilating to a new culture. So, that assimilation and what does that look like when you don't want to lose yourself in that, and just all these great things. So I've been very lucky, and I grew up with my other grandma, that's her side. While she was in school, we used to stay with her a lot, and she was like a CFO or a COO, and then also like taking care of us at night so that my mom could go to school, and like when my dad was out of town. And it was just wild to like watch her like get off a 12-hour day as like a COO, and then like doing Denver public housing of all things to like help people, and then coming and like taking care of my sister and I, who were like the biggest brats ever at the time. So I look back on like my mom going to school and my grandma helping raise us, and like I was just like, God, we were assholes. Like, I just finished my master's and was working, and I was like, every time they were like, we're so proud of you. And I'm like, you were raising kids. How did you do this? This is exhausting. Like, I've done nothing with my life every time. So, yeah, I really regret my childhood now. I should have been a better person. So, yeah.
It's okay. I think that honestly makes you a better adult.
Yeah,
I hope so. I try. Oh, and I was named after my great grandma, who is still alive and well, and she's a very spicy lady right now. She's 93, going to be 94 this year. She's very, as we say, spicy now. When she's in a bad mood, it's spicy. But she's just the kindest soul, and just so loving, and has made all of us have these opportunities. She grew up on like a farm, and now, we have all these other opportunities because she's pushed for the women in our family to be educated, and she's just so lovely. So, yeah, I'm very lucky to be surrounded by all of these women who put up with me as a child for some reason.
This is the last one, I swear. We riffed on parenthood for another 10 minutes. While touching and wholesome, this interview was going to be 8 hours long. We're going to roll into the final sequence now.
Yeah. So thanks for listening to another episode of us just talking. God, they're going to kick us off of our own show, Kelly.
I think you should. I think we should both be banned.
We should be banned from talking. But thanks for listening, if anyone is still with us at this point. Who knows? We might have no one. But thanks so much. And we've so enjoyed getting to hear from the three of you, not counting you or Kelly, Josh. So please don't say thank you again. The other three people that we actually really appreciated listening to today. That's the part that people will like. They could do without Kelly and me getting involved, I think. But we're so grateful to you guys. It's been so cool to hear from you. Chris and Heidi, it's so good to see you again. Sarah, it was so nice to meet you.
Thank you.
As we've all said during all of these, and I'm sure everyone else is saying, I hope we can all eventually get together in person, and we can actually meet you as the cast instead of just hearing your voices. That would be great. You guys are absolutely lovely. We've just enjoyed this insight so much. You guys are such funny people, and thank you. And if you have not checked us out and somehow randomly listened to this episode of the podcast to this point, I'm so concerned.
You really should check out the actual podcast itself.
I'm just so concerned about you as people if you've made it here. But yeah, you should check out the real thing we do. That's cool, and that is Don't Sue Us, Please, also known as DSUP, the superhero podcast. Check out our sound design, check out these lovely humans doing some amazing, incredible things, and building a world for us that is just incredible. So, yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for listening to another interview from the Behind the Scenes series for Wonder Woman Spirit of Truth, presented by Don't Sue Us, Please. This interview featured Josh Wilson, Heidi Armbruster, Nora Barpal, Kelly Johnston, Sarah Bonner, and Chris McFarlane. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/The Superhero Podcast and on all social media at The Superhero Podcast. Thanks for listening.